Hello, Love Wrestling. Welcome in. It is Thursday morning at 10 a.m., and y'all know what that means. You see Drew. Drew's on location today. Before we continue, we are recording this after Dynamite on Wednesday night. Drew decided to make the trip down to Pittsburgh. He was in the building for the 5th year anniversary of Dynamite. So we are going to review that show, go through it and all that stuff. So even though it is 10 a.m. on Thursday, like you're used to seeing us, this is recorded because, like I said, Drew is on location. So we wanted to make sure we got a show out to you people. As you can see below,
this guy's got to do a lot of driving at this current time that you're watching the show. So
yeah, I can imagine. As you see right below Drew right there, Hurricane Helene relief that will go to the GoFundMe that Cash Wheeler of AEW has set up for his neighborhood in town that got really a lot of damage went through there. So even if you can't donate, if you can, great. But if you can't, share it out, help if you can, all sorts of things like that. So, all right, just wanted to get that out of the way there. Yeah. So before we dive in to the Dynamite show that you were at, obviously the big news that came down earlier today was that it is officially official. The AEW, why did I say it that way? AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery have come to terms on a new deal. I'm going to pull up everything here so I have the full, but the big deal, hold on, wait for it. All right, here it is, baby. All right. So the new deal will see all live episodes of Dynamite and Collision continue to be run on TBS and TNT like we are used to. However, starting in 2025, the shows will also be simulcast live on Max streaming as well. So they will be doing that. That'll happen in January. Very awesome. And then it said beginning later in 2025, Max will begin to offer AEW pay-per-view events at a discounted price with specific details to be determined as the company builds out the tech necessary to offer the pay-per-views. So looks like the pay-per-views aren't going to be starting there right away, but sometime later in 2025, we will get a discounted rate for AEW pay-per-view. So while you're here, check out our friends NordVPN, because until we do get those discounted rates on those pay-per-views, you can change your location at any time that you want, and you might be able to find a new home for yourself where there are discounted rates for them regularly.
Maybe Lithuania, maybe Argentina.
Awesome. Could be. Maybe. Who knows? Could be anywhere. But NordVPN, you can do that with the press of a button. And not only that, if you're traveling for work or vacation and you're worried about people leeching off your data and all stuff like that, NordVPN, the safest VPN. You are safe. You are good to go. You don't got to worry about anybody trying to steal any of your stuff. So go check out our friends at NordVPN. So, Drew, obviously, we've all kind of known that this was a done deal for a little bit now, but we were kind of waiting for them to announce it. Then everybody was like, all right, obviously they're going to do it the day of the 5-year anniversary. That makes sense. And they did. It's officially out there. It's a 4-year deal. I believe it was for what, 175 million a year or something like that, or 150.
So a couple of the details are
they not finalized?
exactly ironed out. Have been at least not, maybe that they've not been ironed out, but they haven't been publicly put out there. The definite thing that we know for sure is what you just said. Multi-year deal. Money amount is iffy. Some people are reporting 150. Some people are reporting up to 185 mil a year. So we don't know which one is exact right now. But and then we know, I think the simulcasting on Max is going to be phenomenal.
Yes.
That's what a lot of the Triller TV plus AEW portion, a lot of people would buy that, and then they would be like, "Oh, hey, I get to watch Dynamite and Collision commercial free."
Yeah.
Now you get to do that on Max, and that's awesome. And I believe it's only for the US. I'm not 100% sure.
Yes,
it is. Okay.
Well, at least the Max part of it, because like I know for a fact in Canada there is no HBO Max.
Right.
They don't have Max up there, I don't think, or it's tied to a different thing or something like that. So I was chatting with our pal Ophelia Peggy, and that was one of the questions that she said to me. She was like, "I wonder how it's gonna affect Canada because we don't have Max." And I said, "Oh yeah, I don't know." So I don't know if they'll keep the international stuff the same as it is, and this is really just a US thing, maybe. Well, I don't know.
Hey, I mean,
but that stuff will be ironed out by the time we get there. The good news is AEW is not going anywhere. So all you people that have been praying for the demise, for whatever you wrestling fans, whoever you are.
The biggest issue, and I've addressed some of these people sometimes, and I don't like the negativity. I really don't. I try to stay away from that. Unfortunately, it's rampant on Twitter, just rampant with all these stupid people who have this, edgelord mentality that need to hate on something because they know it's going to rile up somebody else, and it's just a sickening, awful way to live. And I don't know how these people go about their lives, because I would just crumble if I had to only hate watch and make sure that every single person that was a fan of something that I was not a fan of felt bad about being a fan about that thing. It's just not.
It's weird.
It's an awful way to live. And there are these minds in the business, Jim Cornettes and the Eric Bischoffs of the world, that are constantly ragging on AEW. Bischoff more than Cornette. And that's all I got to say. And I'm saying that as, first of all, we're at not even 10 minutes yet into this recording, so I didn't say the word. You just saw the bird. And yeah, so I do not subscribe to the wrestling tribalism. Neither should you, wrestling fan who's watching Firmly AEW right now, because it's just not a way to live. It really isn't. AEW existing is better for the wrestling business, not just because of the company, but because of the people working in the company, all the production people, all the wrestlers that who wouldn't get the time of day because WWE is such a well-oiled machine, and TNA is a well-oiled machine, but significantly less money. And there's really not much else out there. You got MLW, you've got New Japan, but the wrestling business when it comes to backstage, when it comes to the
Hmm.
crew members, the producers, the cameramen. You know, AEW existing as a whole is better for the wrestling industry because all of these great people get to have these jobs and they get to put AEW on television for us to all enjoy.
Yeah, and that's as simple as it is. Like if there's options for people to make a living and get money, and for the wrestlers to go wrestle somewhere else, if there isn't an option somewhere, like yeah, yeah, I don't know. Again, you can have you can like one over the other or only watch one. That's fine. That's not what it's
Absolutely.
about. It's not about that. I got no problem what you like and what you care about. I got a problem with okay, so you don't like it. That's fine. Don't watch it. Go shut up and sit over there. But when you're one of these people that just does this the whole time, it's like, okay, well, you're weird. Just stop it. Just stop doing that. It's stupid. But yeah. But you know what wasn't stupid, Drew? Was this episode of Dynamite. You were in the building and it was a good episode. There was some great matches on this show. Uh I thought just from the jump, I thought it was a very, very solid episode of television. The crowd felt like they were hot throughout the whole show.
Yes.
I'm sure it felt that way in the building. The crowd had a good energy, it felt like. Yeah.
It was loud in the build. It was loud in the building. Did that come
Yeah.
across on TV?
Yeah. It felt like watching it on the show, it felt like the crowd was hot throughout. Like that crowd was really
Good.
into the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a hot crowd. I haven't been a part of a crowd like this in a while, so it
Yeah.
really was exciting.
Good.
Um,
I did hear there was a scary moment before the show, though, with Sammy Guevara. Had to get
yes.
taken out on a stretcher.
Um, he did, unfortunately. I happened to be looking down at the moment that whatever ended up happening to him
Yeah.
happened. But you could just hear it immediately. That
The
like, oh,
murmur. The crowd was
okay,
like,
it's like,
ooh.
uh-oh, something's going on here.
Yeah.
And he was moving his body parts, but he did not get up from the mat. And the stretcher came in
Yeah.
and took him away, and the crowd chanted for him. And
Yeah.
he
Felt like
didn't acknowledge the crowd like
yeah,
most,
okay.
he didn't give that I could see at least because there were
Yeah.
people, in front of him. So maybe he did give a thumbs up, and I didn't see it.
Okay.
But he looked a little exasperated,
Yeah.
and
Some of the reports I
I'm
saw said
hoping that he's all right.
yeah, some of the reports said that he got knocked out. He got knocked out in that match. So hopefully he's okay. And it's nothing too major, but I did see that come across the social medias as I
There
was
was
kind of
apparently
keeping
also
up.
another. So I got to the building around 7:30. Apparently, there was also another injury to an
I didn't hear about
enhancement
this one.
talent,
I did not
a
hear about this
female
one.
enhancement talent. Yeah, I don't know who it was, but I think they were facing. I don't know if it was Queen Aminata or somebody. I don't know who they were
Yeah.
facing, but I had heard that there was also an injury
Hmm.
on the women's side.
Well,
So hopefully
hopefully
both.
hopefully
Yeah.
everyone's all right and it's nothing too crazy. All right. So we have this show, and the show opens up with the new BCC Outback. And it starts with Pac cutting a promo. He's with Claudio. We see Marina Shafir. Pac says that Wheeler Yuta isn't some soft, fluffy creature. He's a lion. Claudio then says that he and Moxley are still the same guys that they always were. So if you have a problem, why don't you just talk to us? He says, this is your home. We have plans for you. And then Shafir gets in front of the camera and she starts speaking in a foreign language. It felt like it might have been Romanian
It
or
was a
Russian
foreign
of some
language.
sort.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. I don't know which language it was. I don't want to
In
sound.
the building, I couldn't really hear
Yeah.
what everybody was saying. So
Okay.
I was, they had like the volume was like a little louder than it should have been, and the
Okay.
bass was punching, so I couldn't really hear a lot of what people were saying. But I was
Yeah.
like,
So
it doesn't sound like she's speaking English.
no, she was
So I
definitely
was right.
speaking. She was speaking a foreign language, and then Moxley takes over. He's talking to Brian. He says he's going to give him an opportunity to go out on his shield and bury him in his backyard beautifully. He said fate's not going to be put a better offer. No, he said, Fate's not going to put a better offer on the table than that. He goes, on October 12th, I officially relieve you of your duty, and I send Daddy home for good. And that's how that little thing ends. And then we are welcome to Dynamite, and that's where we are. So that's how we start the show with the BCC. Good little promo. All three of them, actually all four of them, get to talk. I liked it. And then Moxley with really that sinister, just kind of talking like that. Daddy's getting sent home for good, and I relieve you of your duty and stuff like that. Like just really good, kind of sinister, old school wrestling talk almost in this Moxley character. I feel very old school. Like this would be a heel that could have. This character here would have been Dynamite in the 80s, Dynamite in the like. I feels like that type of character almost,
right?
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we see a backstage segment with Don Callis, who's confronting Will Ospreay. Wait, hold on, wait. It's Don Callis confronts Will Ospreay backstage before his entrance, wanting to talk about last week. That's right. And then Will says he's kind of busy, and then Callis takes Kyle Fletcher with them, and they say they're going to the airport. They're getting out of here. So obviously Callis had an issue with something, wanted to talk to Will, and Will was like, I got a match right now. I'm a little busy. Get the hell out of here. And Fletcher's kind of going to be dangling in the middle. That's what's going to be happening here, I feel like. And then we had the opening bout of the evening. It was for the AEW International Championship. It was the reason you drove to Pittsburgh, as you said you wanted to be there.
Hours.
Yeah, you said you wanted to be there in the building when they did this. We'll talk about the end of it because I didn't necessarily like the end of everything here, to an extent. But Ricochet and Will Ospreay, it delivered. It was a very, very good match. The crowd was hyped for this match, as we all were. I thought it was very, very good.
I did not look at my phone the entire time.
That's good.
Start to finish. Good.
That should be how it is all the time.
It should be how it is all the time.
For all of us when we pay money to go to a show to be entertained.
It was so they did obviously the beginning sequence, the callback to,
of course,
a match that, and I've talked about it before on the show, but if this is the first time you're watching this show, these two men that I got to witness wrestle live for the first time ever together, they are the reason why I am the wrestling fan that I am today. And it was because of a callback to the match that they were doing right there in the beginning 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
Best of the Super Juniors 2016. That was a pivotal moment in my wrestling fandom. And to be able to see that whole thing play out 8 years later in front of me, got a little emotional. I'm not afraid to admit it, because wrestling can make you cry, and it's a beautiful thing. So, it was like, well, I don't need to see the rest of this show. I can go now.
Yeah, for real. Good stuff they had here. They were trading chops. They were going off the ropes, doing this stuff. At one point, Ospreay hits an os cutter on the apron. That was a cool little spot before they sent to a commercial break. We come back. We're getting, Ricochet goes for a 450. He misses. We get a hidden blade that's into Ricochet did a backslide driver, which looked incredible. Great. There was a pile driver as well on Ospreay, but he kicked out. It was really, really good. There was another os cutter, and then Ricochet hit a hidden blade on Ospreay at one point, and they were
huge reaction that got.
Yeah, and they traded poison ranas, which was also a very cool spot. They were really doing some stuff, and then it originally ends with a double pin. So both guys are covering each other, both guys on the ground, kind of, and there's a count. The ref goes to Justin Roberts. Justin Roberts announces that both men's shoulders were on the mat, so therefore This match is a draw. The crowd doesn't like it. Ospreay and Ricochet don't like it. They're saying, come on, let us go. The crowd's saying, let them go. Come on, let them go. I wanted to let them. Yeah, I wanted to let them fight. This is probably too old school, but Bad News Bears, let them play. Like I wanted like a let them fight chant. That's what I wanted. But they both call for the match to start. Tony gives the nod. The match is continuing. And they're starting to go back at it again. But then the match gets interrupted to end it as Will Ospreay technically wins by DQ because Konosuke Takeshita comes out and attacks Will Ospreay. He lays out Will with a running knee. Ricochet starts to kind of go after Takeshita, but he hits him with an elbow. He's flipping the bird to the crowd like you just did a little earlier. And Takeshita basically just beats the crap out of both these guys, and he holds up the international championship. The crowd is chanting and calling him an asshole.
Yeah,
really, really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. You know, we are very, very pro Takeshita here. I said it even before the air. I was like, I thought it was a little bit, you know, it was fine for the moment. It was great with, you know, I thought it was a little convoluted. Like, oh, you did the double pin only for the DQ. But I don't know if we're going triple threat here, or I don't know if we're going strictly Will and Takeshita and Ricochet sits outside. I don't know how we do this here, but of all these three men, Takeshita holding that belt. That is what I want. That is what I want, Drew.
Fightful did report, I don't know if it was today or a day or two ago, that Takeshita is planning to have a big push. So I could see a triple threat or three-way, whatever we call it, in AEW.
Well, it would be a three-way in AEW. Three-way.
Between three of them, which sign me up.
Yeah.
That's going to be rule. Takeshita, we've got heat, buddy. We've got heat right now because how dare you interrupt that match?
What do you mean? You're going to get another match out of these two because of that.
I know, but I mean, I was there, and I could have listened. Yeah. That match could have been the whole show. Was that match 2 hours long, and I would have loved every moment of it. But yeah, I'm really interested to see where this goes now because this is officially a Don Callis family member attacking Will Ospreay for the first time. So, what's Kyle Fletcher going to say about this?
Yeah, well, we got to find out because according to what we saw, Callis and Kyle Fletcher were leaving the building. So they were like, did they know that? We assume Don Callis knew this was going down. We assume Callis is involved in all of it. But did he, though? How's he going to play it off? Is he going to say, we left, that we had nothing to do with it, you know? So we're going to have to see what's going on. But yeah, Kyle Fletcher is just going to be the man in the middle here. He's going to be the man in the middle here with his emotions going, God, Will's my friend, but this is, you know, I'm aligned with these guys. What do I do?
You could make an argument, a legitimate argument, that without the Don Callis family, Kyle Fletcher would not be in the position that he's in right now.
It's true. It's true.
So,
yeah,
you know, we don't know what the status is of his tag partner, Mark Davis. I hope that he's healing. I hope that he's getting better.
I don't think he's close. I think he's still got a ways to go, though. So I don't think we're going to be seeing him anytime soon. So,
but it's like how after the 6 months.
Yeah, we've already said. Yeah, you can't ever.
Yeah, we said it last week.
You can't ever put him back in.
How do you do it? How do you do it after this amazing run?
You cannot. He is forever, at least in my eyes, he's forever now he's a top of the card singles guy. That's what he is. He just took advantage of his opportunity that he got on terrible circumstances, but he took advantage and he has turned himself into a main event type of guy. And, you know, if you want to put him back with Mark Davis for him to like turn on him, like immediately, you know, something like that, or I'm okay with that. Oh, yeah, they're getting back together. Hey, here it goes. And then he goes, no, buddy, no. I've seen where I can go by myself. I don't need you. See you later. And then you do something like that. And then
wouldn't hate that.
You know? But anyway, after this, we do see Mercedes Moné. She's backstage with Renee Paquette. She says it's been a beautiful 5 years of AEW, and she's just honored that she got to be a part of it. She goes, but I put together a package of Dynamite's best moments, and they were all like moments of her doing something. They were all her moments, which was funny. And then she started talking about how AEW's future is bright because money changes everything. And then MVP rolls up.
Yeah.
And he gives her a card, and he says, hey, we should talk sometime. And that's kind of how that segment ends. So a little bit of intrigue of maybe MVP trying to recruit Mercedes into whatever he has going on. That won't be the last time we discuss him. But I thought that was intriguing. Drew.
Yeah.
We come back from commercial. The Ass Boys. They are interviewed backstage, but before they can say much of anything, we see Hangman Adam Page coming from the back, and he has a chair, and he attacks them both, and then he just walks away like it was nothing. So that was a little quick thing here.
I don't know if you could hear on.
Uh-oh. You're dying. You choke on that water?
A little bit.
It's okay.
Did you hear the crowd reaction to Hangman coming in with the chair?
Yeah, you could hear it. It popped.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was loud. Everyone was like, oh, no, turn around.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny. But he just did it and just walked away like it was nothing. Just, all right, see you later. It is time for TV time with the Learning Tree. And we're going to talk about this. So Big Bill is out there. He welcomes everybody. He says it's really about who they become as people along the way. He says we can all agree that over the past 5 years, we've all become better people thanks to one man, Chris Jericho. And then him and Brian Keith come out. They're talking about the 5-year anniversary. They talk about the TV deal. Jericho says making a bunch of experts look like idiots and takes credit for the TV deal. He says it's also the 35th anniversary of his wrestling debut, and he's more focused on nurturing young talent than winning titles and, of course, getting as much TV time as he can. But then he turns his attention to Mark Briscoe and the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championships. He talks a little bit about Mark. He says, I'm challenging you to a match at Wrestle Dream. God forbid the Ring of Honor World Championship gets defended at a Ring of Honor show. I love Mark Briscoe. That has nothing to do with him. I love Mark Briscoe. But what the hell? Anyway, so the conglomeration comes out. Briscoe says, hey, guys, I got this one. He says his daddy brought him up to behave like a man, and that means not making excuses. Says I could sit here and say I had beat Jericho in New York City, and the only reason he won was because Big Bill goozled him and chokeslammed him so Jericho could roll on top of him with his hand or whatever. He said, I could say that. I said, but I'm not going to make that excuse because it was a tornado tag and all that was legal as a wrist lock. And, he's talking stuff like that. He then just says, all right, he goes, and here we are. Here he's going to call Chris what he is. Chris, by God, Jericho, one of the most influential and finest wrestlers on the planet. He goes, that works out good for him because I'd love to put a notch in my belt by defending the title against you. And then he starts talking about the word of the day is consequential because he's going to put his legendary head on a wall. And then Jericho says this line, Drew.
Oh.
Jericho says, he goes, I don't think you can beat me. He goes, maybe your brother Jay could have, but I don't think you can. And you can see Mark Briscoe immediately get dead serious. No more funny guy. And Jericho keeps talking and he says, everybody knows you'll never be as good as your brother was. And Briscoe decks him. And then he says, you better get my brother's name out of your mouth. And at Wrestle Dream, you're getting a Briscoe style ass whooping. And he goes, and that is consequential. And he throws the mic at Jericho and he leaves. So I thought this was pretty good.
Excellent.
I thought it was very good. Listen, I know how certain people. This is the first time I feel like they've used Jay's name, like, they've used him in this way. They've mentioned him a whole bunch, but it's usually out of honor or
Yeah, they've never
respect
mentioned him in
or
this
things
way.
like
Yeah,
that.
you're
Like,
right.
this is the first time they've used that as like, not, it wasn't an insult. He actually like was put, but like, you know what I mean? They used him in a way that would like further an angle,
Right.
and I had no problem with it. I
No, me
thought,
neither.
I thought it worked perfectly. I thought it worked perfectly because it wasn't like Jericho was being disrespectful to Jay here. He was even saying, I think maybe your brother could have beat me. Like he was talking about Jay in a respectful manner, but him talking
Right.
about Jay in respectful was being disrespectful to Mark because he was
Right.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah, your brother was way better than you, and everybody knows you're never going to be as good as him. And yeah, I thought it was excellent, and I like seeing Mark Briscoe immediately get like, I'll kill you. Like,
This
you talk
was,
about my brother, I'll kill you, kind
I
of
think
stuff.
this was honestly one of the best learning tree segments in a while.
Yeah, it was really good.
Everyone played their role perfectly. Uh, Brian Keith is
Oh.
like saying, "Thank you, Chris. Say it with me, goddammit. Thank you, Chris."
Yeah, yeah,
he,
yeah,
this is a perfect role for him.
yeah.
It's
He's great.
just it's really great. And God, Big Bill is over as hell, man. He is over. So
First,
he came
oh,
out before
yeah,
TV came back, and everyone is just chanting for him, like walking to the ring. It's just really, it's really nice to see him so over like this, and hopefully
hmm
they do great things with him. Um, and yeah, seeing Mark Briscoe in such a more serious light because he's really been kind of like that comedic, you
yep,
know, the comedic role, which he is phenomenal at. I mean, I love that role that he plays beautifully. So I have no problems with him being a comedic person. Um, but once in a while, you got to get that comedy pushed to the side and get that seriousness going. So
hmm
and Jericho did it perfectly. I really enjoy. I found myself sitting there going, "This might be the best learning tree segment I've seen since the first couple of weeks where we were like actually talking about it positively."
yep. Agreed. I agreed. I thought, yeah, this was excellent, and I'm very much. Again, I would love it to be on a Ring of Honor show. And
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I have
That's
I have
that one
I have good
caveat.
friends in this space that still watch Ring of Honor and still love Ring of Honor. And even though the match will be good, I can only imagine they're like, oh yeah, okay, getting
As
defended
soon
on
as he
another
said Wrestle
AEW show.
Dream, I was like, "Isn't there Final Battle or one of the, there's got to be a Ring of Honor pay per view like
hmm
right around Wrestle Dream, but we're not going to do the Ring of Honor title at that pay per view. We're going to do it
No,
at Wrestle Dream instead."
yeah, yeah. All right. After that segment, we get a vignette. It looked like Darby was in like a junkyard or like a demolition yard of sorts. He's sitting on like a beaten down car. And he tells a story about how he remembers riding the bus and getting bullied by dudes who used to spit at the back of his head. And he would try to mind his own business because he was outnumbered. He goes, but it killed him inside because he wasn't doing anything about it. So he said he turned around and got in a guy's face, and that guy had a switchblade. Uh, he said it looked like he was getting stabbed and
And it
lunged at
wasn't
him. And
Jay White.
no, it wasn't. We'll talk about him in a sec. Uh, he said he looked like he was getting stabbed, so he lunged at him, and everybody broke up the fight. But it felt so good to do something about it. And then he said weeks ago when John Moxley said I wasn't ready to be the face of AEW, I saw those three guys, and I wasn't going to lay around. I'd rather get stabbed. He said, live by the sword, die by the sword. He said, I put everything on the line and I lost. I got nothing left to lose. So Darby makes an open challenge. for Wrestle Dream. He says anybody in the back, open challenge at Wrestle Dream. So Darby Allin will have a match in his hometown. We
I'm
just don't know
excited to
who.
see who it's going to be. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Couldn't
I can't
tell
think
you
of
right
anybody right
now.
now. Yeah, me neither. But I liked it. Again, that was another, dark and brooding, what?
Maybe that's Bobby Lashley's debut.
Maybe. Could be. Who knows? Who knows?
What a match that would be with those two.
Lashley would toss him around like a baby. Like a child, truly. It would be incredible.
This was a great promo by Darby.
It was. It was
I
very good.
liked seeing it was like kind of similar to like the learning tree segment we just talked about, where it feels like things were clicking and it was very well done. I feel like this also, we don't see this from Darby that much.
Yep.
He's usually in the ring with the mic, and this was great. I love this. You know, he
Yeah, I thought it
knows
was
how
good.
to tell a story. He's very methodical with his words and the way that he talks, and I love it. So I thought this was a great segment, and we'll see who that open challenge participant will end up being.
Yeah. Should be a lot of fun. We then have Hangman Adam Page making his way to the ring. He is going one-on-one against Rock Hard Juice Robinson. And as Rock Hard Juice Robinson is entering, Hangman meets him on the ramp. They start brawling on the stage. They're going everywhere. Somebody, was it Juice that gets? Yes, Juice gets the strap out of his ring jacket. He starts whipping Hangman with it. He whips him the first one over the back. Hangman immediately had a mark on his back for like the rest of the match. Immediate that whip, that first one was like, oh my God.
So where I was in the arena was directly across the way from that.
Okay.
That same aisle that they went up, it was directly across from me. And some of those whips I could hear from all the way on the other side.
Yeah.
So
They were
it makes
gnarly.
sense that his back was lit up from that.
Yeah. Hangman's yelling at Aubrey, like trying to get order, like, come on, and then he starts whipping Juice so they go into the crowd. He starts whipping Juice with the strap, and then he throws the strap into the stands. Like he just tosses it into the stands. They're using the barricade. He's looking for a pile driver, all that stuff. And then finally, Juice throws a beer at Hangman, which makes all the sense in the world because Hangman, obviously, liquor has been a big part of the Hangman character in the lore of AEW. And then they showed Juice eating a bucket of popcorn and stuff as they get popcorn all in his hair and shit. It was amazing.
Yeah, when Hangman gets back over the barricade, he just grabs somebody's popcorn and just shoves it like this.
Yeah. And you could see he's like popcorn in his frizzy hair, and he like smiles and he goes like, yeah, to the camera. He was like, oh, it's good. Like he does something good. And then they finally get in the ring. The bell rings, and now the match is officially starting. And they had a good little match. Everything that happened before the match was wild. That was really the highlight of it. Was just a wild brawl. It was good stuff. Then they get in the ring. They have a pretty decent match. It's pretty good. We have a cannonball. Juice hits a cannonball through the barricade at one point. That was a gnarly little segment there as they go back into the crowd. But this match comes to an end where Hangman grabs Aubrey. And as he's distracting her by grabbing her, he hits a low blow on Juice. And then he hits the buckshot. And he gets the 1, 2, 3. So that's how the match ends. But post-match, Drew, Hangman starts taking off his belt. He puts it around Juice's neck. And he throws him over the rope. And it looks like he's hanging Juice from the ropes with his belt. And we get the return of Switchblade Jay White. We hear the music. Hangman turns towards the ramp, the entranceway, and Jay White comes from behind. He hits a big lariat, hits some hammering forearms. Hangman eventually runs away, and then White chases him and kind of spears him and lifts him up through a table. Then he gets back in the ring to help Juice. Jay White looked great. He looked like $1 million. He had the tan. He was shiny. He looked like he was ready to go. And the way they brought him back as a baby face, I like it.
Yeah.
I like
Well, yeah,
it.
because Bang Bang Gang have been kind of they've been baby faces for about a
Yes,
month now, I'd say.
they've been leaning that
Um,
way. Yeah.
so yeah, I'm totally cool with this, and I felt like this made so much sense because 2 years ago at Forbidden Door, they had a match together
Mhm.
with Adam Cole.
It was a 4-way, right?
It's Adam Cole and Okada, I think.
Maybe. Yeah, I think so. I think it was a 4-way with those
Um,
guys.
and Hangman got injured in that match.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was because of something that Jay White did too.
Yeah.
So that's something that they can call back to, or just that match in general. If
Yeah,
it
for
wasn't
sure.
Jay White, um, that's something that they can call back to. So I thought it made all the sense in the world for him to come back here, and that's going to be a fun program.
Yeah, it was very good. I'm very much looking forward to Jay White and Hangman. Oh baby, that's gonna be right up my alley. That's gonna be some good stuff. I'm looking forward to that. We are out back with Renee Paquette, and she is waiting backstage for the scapegoat, Jack Perry. The bus drives up. He gets out, but before he can get to Renee, he is cut off by Katsuyori Shibata, who challenges him to a title match at Wrestle Dream. Perry says he'll think about it, and he walks off. And then as Shibata is kind of turning to do an interview with Renee, he was going to do his usual compliment. He always compliments Renee with his translator. That's what he was going to do. Jack blindsides him, attacks him, throws him against the bus, and he accepts. So at Wrestle Dream, we're going to get Shibata and Jack Perry for the TNT title. That match should be a pretty good one as well. We get a backstage promo from Bryan Danielson. He says that he's been thinking, fuck Jon Moxley all day. But this isn't about either of them. This is about the AEW World Championship, and they broke they broke wrestling system, which is why he challenged Okada tonight. He said they're 1-1, and Okada broke his arm, but not his spirit, and his title and his career are on the line tonight, and he wouldn't want it any other way. So you can tell he's got Moxley in the back of his mind. But Danielson said, yeah, I'm going out soon, but I'm going out on my terms, and I'm changing the way we do things around here because that's who we've always been, is we change, we break the system, we do things differently. And he goes, yeah, I might be insane fighting Okada tonight, but you know what? That's the way I do it. I don't want to do it anyway. I thought it was a good little promo from Danielson. And then it was the return. It was the return of Britt Baker. It was in Britsburg. We are in her hometown. But Britt Baker, DMD, made her return. She went one-on-one here with Serena Deeb. Good match. Good match.
Yeah, I was surprised actually at how much I enjoyed it because
Yeah.
I like Serena Deeb, but she doesn't always click with me.
Very
But I
good
think
in
that
ring. Very, very good in ring.
her in ring is phenomenal, and
Yeah.
I think that really her heel work in ring also it was perfect for Britt, the hometown hero. So
Yep.
I really enjoyed this match, and Britt got a loud ovation.
Yeah, as you would expect. It's the first time we've seen her since All In, so it's been a little bit, and she is in her hometown. She comes out in a giant, terrible towel. Really made me want to vomit. But other than that, good to see her back. Other than that, good to see her
Oh.
back. Disgusting. Pittsburgh Steelers. Gross. But good to see her back. Glad she's back. It was a really hell of a good match. I enjoyed it a lot. And there was some stuff that went on after this match. So Britt wins with the lockjaw. And then post-match, Serena Deeb attacks Britt Baker after the match. But we saw Queen Aminata run down and make the save and take out Serena Deeb. They've been kind of doing some stuff on Collision here lately.
Yes,
So we
yeah.
saw that. But one thing that they kept on showing throughout the match, Drew, was Mariah May. the AEW
Oh yes.
World's Women's Champion, was at ringside for this match. So that tells me that we might be heading towards a Britt Baker, Mariah May program probably sooner than later. So,
I am a fan of that.
It's a big win for Britt. The last time we saw her before this, though, she lost. I don't know how that automatically elevates you to a world title program. She is Britt Baker. I understand. But like you said, when it comes to that program and what those matches will be, I am not complaining at all. But I just think it's kind of like, shouldn't she kind of earn it for a little bit longer? Just a smidge. We then so we had heard earlier in the evening, right at the beginning, Nigel was in the booth. I don't know I assume you saw that. Nigel was in the booth, and they announced right at the beginning after the BCC promo that something happened to Taz, and they had an update on Taz later on the show. So at this point, we have Renee Paquette. She's backstage with Hook. Hook is pissed. And Renee says earlier today, Taz was attacked. And she asked Hook, like, hey, like, do you know who did it? Like, how's your father doing? And he almost drops an F-bomb. But he restrains himself. And he says that he's going to find out who it is and that he's going to come for them. And it's not going to go well. So apparently someone attacked Taz. And we got to figure out who it is. That's going to be Hook's next person. I have no idea who it could be, to be honest with you.
No. Could be Bobby Lashley.
It could be anybody. Literally. Yes.
Anybody,
Yeah. So it'll be kind of cool to see. Yeah. Kind of cool to see where that goes. We then get Christian Cage cutting a promo. He says that if we were in awe of what he's accomplished in Dynamite's first 5 years, you don't even know what's coming. And he says, and soon enough, I'll have it all. Hook, line, and sinker. Now, the fact that he said that line, hook,
that was
and sinker.
First, as soon
makes
as he
me
said
feel like he might
sinker,
be involved with Taz. Taz.
It's like, oh, did he attack Taz?
Maybe it was Nick Wayne. I don't know, but it just right after the Hook Taz thing, you're going to use hook, line, and sinker in your promo, buddy.
And the way he said it too.
Yes,
it's like
it just that I was like, wait a minute,
on Hook.
Yeah, like wait a minute. We had a backstage interview with Mariah May. She says that Willow Nightingale is the definition of failing up. And she asked how many titles she can lose. And calls her shady and disingenuous. And then Willow comes out of nowhere. She gets right in her face. They start bickering. Mariah shoves her. They start breaking it up. And so we get security and Christopher Daniels out there breaking it up. So it looks like we're going. See, so she was out there for the Brit stuff, but her and Willow have kind of went. Willow came out last week to make the save against Yakasaki.
Yes, right.
And now they're back and forth again. So I think we're getting the Willow match first. I think the Brit thing, that might have just been like for a build down the line, maybe. Because it feels like Willow and Mariah are more like this is happening now.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Which again, we love Willow. I mean, I'm all for that. 1,000%.
100%.
Yeah. We then had Iron Savages going up against Private Party. Thank God they showed this. And I'm glad that what happened after this match happened. Because the second ever Dynamite, Private Party with maybe still I would think Action Andretti beating Jericho is probably a bigger one, but like one of the great upsets in AEW history as the 8th seed defeating the number 1 seed on the second ever Dynamite in the tag team tournament. They showed the clip of that as they were coming down to the ring on television. Unbelievable moment that was. I was in the building for that, and it was excellent. This was a relatively quick match. Not a squash, but pretty close. Private Party gets the big victory by hitting Gin and Juice. But post-match, Cassidy gets on the mic, and he says, earlier this year when we said that we were coming for the tag titles, we meant it. Says he doesn't care if my hand is messed up, my shoulder's messed up. He goes, Quan doesn't care about his pec injury he recovered from. He goes, we're going to be your next AEW World Champions. He goes, we beat the Young Bucks once, and we promise we can do it again. He said, and we're feeling froggy tonight, so why don't the Young Bucks come out here right now? We'll do it right now. We then cue the AEW World Tag Team Champions. The Young Bucks show up. They say Private Party seems rather well, at first they say, we can't have a 5-year anniversary without the 2 guys that built this place. That's what they said.
Can't disagree.
Nope, they were part of it. They are telling facts, technically. They say Private Party seems rather confident, and since they have a lot, they said they have a lot of overrun tonight. Let's test that confidence with a tag title match. Everyone starts getting pumped. They're walking towards the ring. The crowd is jacked up. Private Party's ready to go. And right before they get there, they stop. And this I could not agree with more. They said they're not wasting a date on a crappy town like Pittsburgh. I said, you know what? I agree.
This means absolutely nothing to me.
Yep. And then again, I still to this day think that actually, like, if I spent a weekend in Pittsburgh, it would be like a city that I would adore. I feel like it would fit in with my vibe, to be honest with you. Their Steelers are just from there. And
this is my first time ever in Pittsburgh.
It feels blue collar, hardworking. You know, there's a lot of cool bars, restaurants, a mill town like that. That is my vibe. That is my vibe.
I equated it to Manhattan Light, but also in the mountains.
Yeah, like that. That's my type of vibe.
Make sure. This is a side thing. Make sure that you do your cardio before you come to Pittsburgh.
Why do you have to walk a lot?
The hills are at a 45-degree angle.
Oh, that's not good.
I had to walk all the way up to Peterson Event Center that they were doing the show at tonight. I should have lost 20 pounds.
Yeah, wait, that's not good. That's not good.
I still feel it in my legs.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not great. Jack Perry attacks Private Party. The Young Bucks get in the ring. It's a 3-on-2 beatdown, but Shibata comes out, makes the save. They even it up. Christopher Daniels appears, and he has an idea. He said there's going to be a 6-man tag on Rampage. So this weekend on Rampage, we'll get Private Party and Shibata versus the Bucks and Jack Perry. Should be a good one. What'd you think of this whole little thing with the Bucks and Private Party? I am all for Private Party and the Bucks going.
Private Party needs to win.
I said this, so I hopped on the watch along tonight. On Wednesdays, Boris has been doing a watch along, and I hopped on with him tonight. And we were talking about this and I said, how on earth can you put Private Party in that spot on the second Dynamite to beat the Young Bucks just like that, and they've never won the tag titles? Think about that. On the second ever show of your brand new company, you have the Young Bucks, who are EVPs, the most recognized tag team in your company immediately. They're the Young Bucks. And you had this team beat them in the first round of a tag tournament. And in 5 years, they have never been tag champions. How does that happen? That is
really is a shame.
And I know there's been some bad luck. There's been injury. I know there's been some bad luck in there. Long injuries. Like, there's been stuff that have happened. But, like, dude, you have them win that match on the second Dynamite. If you would have told me 5 years into the company they still had never been tag champs, I would say you're an insane person. That is crazy.
I mean, they're not the only original tag team that still have never gotten the tag titles, too.
Yeah,
true. Butcher and Blade never got the tag titles. Santana and Ortiz never got the tag titles.
Yeah. But they didn't. When you have them win a match like that, that is you telling everybody. Hey, this is the second show of our company. These guys are going to matter. And then they really just,
Oh, yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Crazy.
So I'm hoping they can rectify this now by letting Private Party win.
Yeah, somewhere down the line, that would be nice. They're good out. I like they're good. I like them.
New music tonight, by the way, for them.
Yeah, I liked it.
Sounded really good in person. Liked it a lot.
Renee is backstage. Renee was a busy woman. She was backstage interviewing MVP. He says he has a big announcement to make, and he thought, why not tonight? And just as he's about to say, let me introduce, and I bet you everybody was like, oh shit, Bobby Lashley. Here comes Bobby Lashley. Prince Nana rolls up. He says that MVP was talking spicy last week, and he goes, and you must have not forgot that I used to be, I love this, by the way.
Oh,
he goes,
yeah.
I used to be a wrestler. And he goes, and I'll lace up my boots tonight, and I'll fight you tonight with the way you were talking last week. And MVP says, nah, I don't deal with complaints. He goes, but this man does. He goes, let me introduce you to, and the camera pans, Shelton Benjamin, baby. Oh, and he got a good pop. That pop was loud. That pop was loud. Good for him. Good for him. One of the more underrated wrestlers of his whole era. Like, he is so good. And I think he has a lot to bring. I think he's going to ball out here in AEW. I think they're going to let him go and do some stuff, and he's going to be real good. And Shelton Benjamin shows up, and he asks Nana, he goes, what were you saying again? And Prince Nana kind of is like, oop, he doesn't really say anything. Shelton says, that was a good talk. And then he grabs his coffee, takes a sip, because Prince Nana makes his own coffee. So he grabs the coffee cup, takes a sip, and he goes, oh, it's really good coffee. Thanks for the drink. And he just kind of takes off. So Shelton Benjamin, we had heard the report a day ago or so that he was on his way to AEW. He debuted. So it looks like now we're just kind of awaiting Bobby Lashley. I think he's the only one we're waiting for.
And I thinking about the timeline.
He probably comes back. Is that a Wrestle Dream, you think, a debut?
I would say maybe he is Darby's opponent at Wrestle Dream.
Could be. Or maybe he just comes out like after, like some sort of. Because we have what? We have next week's Dynamite, and then that's the go-home show, right? It's in a week from Saturday. So, I mean, it does line up that if he doesn't show up next week on Dynamite, you would think the pay-per-view would be where he would show up.
Yeah.
But excellent to see Shelton Benjamin. He's there. So we have him and MVP. The Hurt Syndicate is forming into place. Yeah, I liked it, Drew. I liked it a lot. I'm glad he got as big a pop as he did because it was excellent. After this,
I'm really glad.
I'm
really glad that certain moments really came through on TV because that was a loud crowd.
Yeah, no, you could hear that pop. I was like, wow, that's a really loud pop for Shelton. Like, good. I don't know if they showed this in the arena, but after that segment, because throughout the night they were showing like highlights of big moments that happened in the 5 years and stuff like that. They had a little like 10 or 15 second thing for Brody Lee. And I thought that was very nice. Yeah, that was very nice. And then it was World Championship main event time. Drew, these guys fought till 10:30. They had a half-hour overrun. This match went 42 minutes long, at least TV time. I don't know if it was, but this match, damn, dude. American Dragon, Bryan Danielson defending against Kazuchika Okada. And for the first 20 minutes, because this stipulation, even MJF shit on this stipulation earlier today. And the only way MJF would. You can go find it. It's hilarious. So it was title versus title for the first 20 minutes. And once
because the Continental Classic Championship is defended in a 20-minute match.
Correct.
Yeah.
So for the first 20 minutes of this match, it was title versus title, nobody else at ringside, nothing. And then after 20 minutes, Okada, which he did, retained his Continental Classic title because it was nobody won. And then the rest of the way to the 60-minute time limit was for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship.
I didn't hate that stipulation at all.
I understood the stipulation. I just felt like it was very long and convoluted. There had to be maybe a better way to. I was just, I don't know.
I know they have to explain everything for everybody. But I didn't find. I understood it immediately, and I said, okay, that he's got the Continental Championship. This is how the Continental Championship is defended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This match starts off collar and elbow tie up. They're going back and forth, wrist locks, and trying to get some holds on each other, reversing stuff, stopping short of some drop kicks. Okada tried a Rainmaker really early on that Danielson ducked. And then they did kind of like a head scissors exchange, and they had a stalemate, and the crowd kind of popped for that. So good little beginning sequence to the end to this too. And then it started to really, really get into it. Brian tries the diving headbutt and misses. We get a Rainmaker that goes into a spike DDT at one point. They're fighting a little bit more Irish whips, and at one point, Brian's arm was getting worked on heavy. We have a label lock, but Okada gets out. He gets a foot on the rope. At one point, Okada hits the knee on Danielson, and later on in the match, Danielson hits the Rainmaker on Okada. So they kind of went through each other's moves. That was a very cool,
great match.
Very cool sequence. Okada hit a tombstone pile driver on the floor on top of a chair before we hit our last commercial break. There was just a lot of stuff that was going down. At one point, he was hammering Okada with the elbows. But then, as we approach the last segment of this match, we see Claudio Castagnoli show up. We see Pac show up. And this not only, they're out there to distract Danielson, but this actually distracted Okada.
Yeah, I really thought this part was interesting, that Okada kind of interacted with them.
Yes, because you would think, oh, these guys are out to mess with Danielson and get in Danielson's head, and Moxley's probably not far behind, which was the case. But this actually affected Okada way more than Danielson, because Okada saw them both. He interacts with them both. At one time, he flips the double bird to Claudio. And all in the meantime, Danielson, who's been down, he puts a backslide on Okada, and he gets the 1-2-3 on a backslide. So in essence, Pac and Claudio really distracted Okada to the point where he lost this match.
Right. Yeah.
Then Okada he hits a Rainmaker on oh my God, I almost call him Daniel Bryan. On Bryan Danielson after the match. Then he grabs his belt. He flips the bird to Claudio and Pac, and he storms off. So before we talk about what happens after this match, you were in the building. This match was excellent. Of the matches I've seen between these fellas, it is very, it just happened. So it's fresh in my mind. I haven't even had a night to sleep on it. But I thought this was maybe their best. This was very good.
I think this was their best one.
I think it was their best, for sure.
I totally 100% fine with saying that without any sleep. And boy, do I fucking need it. So we'll be done soon, folks. I will confidently say that was their best match.
Yeah. It was excellent. It was really, really good. They got a lot of time.
The hype in that crowd, the holy shit chants. This was awesome. Let's go, Brian Okada dueling chants.
Yep.
It was really hype in that crowd. I'm so happy I came to this show.
Yeah, it was very, very good. Bryan Danielson wins with the backslide, retains the AEW championship. He does get a Rainmaker, and then we see Pac and Claudio get in the ring. At first, they're helping Danielson up, but they're helping him up to hold him in position for Jon Moxley. Moxley and Shafir arrive. Mox gets on the mic, and he goes,
this promo, very interesting.
He goes, none of this is about me. He goes, none of this is about what I want. He says, I'm planning for something much bigger than me. And everything he does is for something bigger than me. Like bigger than himself. He goes, if it was up to him, I'd have taken care of Danielson a long time ago. And then all of a sudden we hear a roar, and we see Wheeler Yuta, who has the hammer that we assume Moxley was using last week, or just a hammer because Moxley had one last week. He slides in the ring. Moxley immediately gets out of the ring first. And Wheeler clears the ring. He has the thing. He's going. And then Moxley slides back in the ring, kind of behind Yuta's back. And Yuta turns around, and Yuta's like saying stuff to Moxley. He's going, come on, John. Like he's begging him to make a move so he can use the hammer. He's like, come on. Like, hit me. Come on. What do you say there? Yeah, he's looking for and then Pac and Claudio hit the ring, and then Danielson and him try to get them. Yeah. So then Yuta calls out Claudio and Pac. He grabs a mic, and he said, "I'm tired of being treated like a child." He goes, "I'm my own man. I'll make my own decisions, and I fight my own fights." And he goes, "And speaking of fights, next week, Title Tuesday, because Dynamite is on Tuesday next week." He goes, "If they want to get to Danielson, you got to go through me." And then Brian grabs the mic and he announces, "Hey, next Tuesday, tag match, us two versus Pac and Claudio." And that's how the show goes off the air. So,
complete implosion of the trios champions.
they're still the champions, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So
interesting there. I don't know what we do with the titles now at this point. Why are the titles on a team that's not really a team anymore?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. But
yeah,
Wheeler, the reason why I was talking about, that Moxley promo was really interesting. I thought we were going to get like a Shane McMahon debut from the way that he was saying, like, "Oh, this is not because of me. This is not up to me." So I was like, "Oh, well, somebody's pulling the strings here."
Yeah.
So is it Shane McMahon? Is it somebody else? Or is something going on? So I thought like we were going to get like a huge debut to close the show. But it ended up being Wheeler, which is fine. Love Wheeler, so I have no issues with that at all.
No.
And I love Wheeler in the spot. We've been praising him for weeks now, and I'm excited to see what happens in this match. And again, don't know what's happening with the trios titles now, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. All in all, I thought it was a really, really good episode of Dynamite, and it was a really monumental day for AEW with the TV deal being announced and just kind of where they're going, how they're not going anywhere. Big day for them, and they're not going anywhere. We're going to have a lot more time to be talking about some AEW stuff next week. We will be back on Tuesday for some Firmly WWE. We'll be talking the fallout from Bad Blood and SmackDown and Raw. And then next Thursday, we'll be back and we'll be doing the Go Home show. The Go Home show and the preview to Wrestle Dream. So, Drew, let the people know where they can follow you because it is late for us on the East Coast here as we're recording this. We need to go to bed, my friend. So let the people know where they can find you.
Follow me at the Drew Nicholas on Twitter, as it says right below, and you'll see everything that I'm doing. I gotta hit the hay. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. You can follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms. You know where you can find Drew and I Thursday nights 8 p.m. Between Two Beards with Pluggo as well. But yeah, for Drew, for myself, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you. We will see you all real soon. And until then, you guys know the drill. Peace out.